Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be something a little different. I am not going to turn into one of those channels that are like the anti-MLM channels, but I have seen a lot of people posting videos and kind of their stories on an MLM company that they have either joined or decided to leave, and I've seen a lot of like anti-MLM videos. So I just wanted to share my story. I wanted to share my experience with MLMs so that, you know, you get a little bit, a different perspective, you know, maybe a different perspective. You know, this could be like a story time video, I guess. But I'm going to call this video, you know, what's the 411, my Scentsy experience. So I'm going to start off with Scentsy. I had joined over the years. I'm no longer part of an MLM, but I had joined several MLMs. So I kind of want to give you a little bit of a backstory. I'm going to start with Scentsy. Okay, so when I first joined an MLM, I first joined direct sales. It was a long time ago, and I had actually joined a adult company that sold adult products, and I was called a romance enhancement specialist. I was not part of Pure Romance. I know Pure Romance was like the more popular ones. I joined an MLM back before Pure Romance was even a thing. So it was one of the first companies. It wasn't I wasn't super serious into it. I mainly did it out of fun. But the first time I don't even want to say got serious or kind of fell into that MLM hook was with Scentsy. So that's why I want to start with Scentsy. And then if you guys like this video and you want to hear more about the other companies that I had joined, I will make future videos on those companies. So I had also been a Jamberry consultant, a Perfectly Posh consultant, a 31 consultant, and I think that's all I remember off the top of my head. So I'm going to share with you guys my Scentsy story. I have my little notes here. So I'm going to start off with a little bit like what the backstory was, what the reasoning was for me joining Scentsy, you know, how that joining process happened. And then I will get into like my sales, like how it went when I was actually a rep, from everything from sales, parties, events, my coworkers, so to speak, and then why I ultimately quit. So let's get into this video. So I joined Scentsy when I had first transitioned I had just moved from California. I was stationed in California. For those of you who don't know, I was in the military. I was stationed out in California, and I had already been doing like the romance stuff out in California. So when I got to the area that I'm in now, I'm in the Fort Meade area. I was stationed at Fort Meade. That was the first time where I had my first place. Like I ended up getting a house on base. And I was really starting to kind of make my place my own. So I had purchased my like first set of like real furniture, like my couches. I had purchased like my first like not big TV, but my TV and things like that. And because before I had lived in like the barracks and stuff like that, and I didn't want to invest in any furniture or anything until I had gotten my own place. So essentially that was like my first apartment, so to speak. It was like a little townhome on base. And so I've always been super into candles and super into smelly stuff, but I mainly use like incense, and then, you know, maybe like candles here and there. And my older sister back in the day used to sell for, oh God, what's the name of that company? They're the direct sales, but they do like candles, right? And so Party Light, I believe it was what it was called. I had a few things. I had a few Party Light items because I had purchased from my older sister. And so I kind of knew the way the direct sales world worked because of my older sister. I didn't become a rep because why was I going to become a rep and take away, revenue from my older sister. I had seen this really pretty like warmer, because Scentsy sells warmer, they don't sell candles. And so I had seen this really pretty warmer, and when I had looked it up, I had seen that it was a Scentsy warmer. It was like a Halloween warmer. It was so pretty. And I started doing some research. I did research on the company. So I was going to purchase originally this warmer and purchase a few scents. No one had reached out to me. No, I had never been to a party or anything like that. So I was originally going to purchase a warmer. So I started doing research. And again, I knew how the direct sales company worked. At the time I was going to purchase a warmer, I was like, there's so much stuff that I want to purchase now. It makes sense for me to sign up as a rep and get a discount, because at the time I think it was like $50 to become a rep, and I was like, I could use the discount and purchase all of the items I need. And at the time, I think the quota was like every 6 months or every 3 months or something like that. And I was like, well, in 3 months from now, once I've purchased everything that I need, I will take the time to get that like discount, which is like 20% or something like that was the discount that I was going to get. And then in 3 months, if I didn't meet my quota, I didn't meet my quota, and whatever, I would just be done being a rep. I had no intention of fully being a consultant for Scentsy. I was just using it for the discount. $50, but you got like a whole bunch of product. So you got the samplers, you got some wax, you got like a free warmer, you got like enough products so that you could showcase if you decided to have a party or host a party of your own and have potential clients or potential like future representatives, because again, these are all pyramid schemes essentially, where you don't make your money off of selling the product, you make your money on recruiting. So basically I was like, okay, I'm paying $50, but I'm getting more than $50 worth of stuff. And when I had looked at the starter kit, it included things that I would have actually purchased or paid $50 for. That's the only reason I decided to ultimately become. I did my research. I saw how much I was going to get a discount for. I knew what the quota was. And so that was my game plan. So what I ended up doing was, because since I was on base, I was like, well, I know how this recruiting thing works, so why not give it to somebody who is within the military community, military supporting military. I searched the representatives that were, because at the time you could search for representatives based on your zip code. So I put in the zip code for the military base that I was in, and I think there was like 2 consultants. And one consultant didn't have anything filled out on her profile when I had gone like online to look at her webpage, and one did. So I ended up going with the one that had filled out their profile information. And I'm not going to disclose what her name is. I don't even know if she still sells Scentsy. I will talk about it in a minute, but I ended up just not getting along with this lady. So the process was relatively easy. I basically had signed up, as long as you had like, this representative's name and you can sign up under this representative. I did it all online. I signed it up, paid my $50 within like a week or so. I got my starter kit, and the day that I signed up, I actually they had created my like account, like my online account, so I had my own webpage. And I could go ahead and submit an order. So the process of joining was relatively easy. It's the joining part that's easy sometimes. Some certain companies it's easy. So, she reached out to me and she was like, oh, hey, I didn't, realize that you had signed up under me. This is great, blah, 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 this and that. She gave me the whole spiel. And I, at the time, kind of rolled my eyes because I was like, ugh, God, like I'm not in it to sell items. But she invited me to come to an open house to see how it's done at her house, how she throws parties. And I was like, well, I might as well socialize. I'm a social person. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm a social person. I was like, let's go ahead and meet some of these, military. The majority of the women who I met in the military, like Scentsy. They were like military Scentsy wives, basically. Almost all of them were wives. And one, I'm in a small, I was in a small military community already because of the job that I had. So there weren't that many female service members. So most of the military people that I associated with were military spouses. So it was kind of nice. It was kind of nice, but I wasn't a military spouse. I myself was a military service member. So it was kind of, I don't know, kind of nice to like mingle with the community. But that just kind of led into the whole cattiness of like, I'm an officer's wife and blah, 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 this and that. So I kind of, I don't know. In the beginning it was fun, but then I ended up distancing myself from the cattiness that is like the officers' wives circle, because I was an enlisted service member. I was like, good for you. I'm glad that you're a military, officer's wife, but good for you. That's all I have to say on that topic. So yeah, like I thought it was fun, and I was like, oh, this kind of party thing seems fun. It's like hosting like a social event. So I myself decided to throw a party. And like I said, I originally didn't join with the intent that I was going to sell any of these products, but I was like, meh, who knows? Like, I threw parties all of the time, like game nights. I threw game nights all of the time. Why not host a game night and see if any of my friends were interested in purchasing any of these? They're wax melts, essentially. People love freaking wax melts. People love freaking candles. And so I threw my first party, and my first party was extremely successful. Like, I think I had like 30 something because I opened it up online. I emailed all my friends. And at the time when I was selling Scentsy, like, it wasn't oversaturated. Like, people weren't sliding into other people's DMs, you know what I mean, to send all those obnoxious messages. And for the most part, when I was sending my friends messages, they really were my friends. They weren't people who are like, I haven't talked to you in like 8 years, so maybe you'll remember me. You know what I mean? So I had a very successful like first party, and I guess like my upline like saw the potential in that, and she kind of reprimanded me for not recruiting. She was like, "Did you do your recruiting spiel?" And I was like, "No. Like, why would I do my recruiting spiel?" So that's kind of where it went downhill. When first I got reprimanded, I had a successful party, right? And I made a little bit in sales. It wasn't a whole lot, you know what I mean? But I did make a little bit in sales. And Scentsy was one of those companies that you weren't obligated to have a stock. Most people did because they wanted to have product on hand. But I had told people that your order is going to go in online. And when I get your order, you could either have it directly shipped to you, or you can ship it to me and I will personally deliver it next time I see you. And it saves you a little bit on shipping, right? And so, or you could put in your own order online that's connected to a party if you wanted to, or not even connected to. You don't even have to order as part of a party. So when I got reprimanded for not recruiting, that was kind of like the first real red flag. I was like, okay, I got reprimanded for not recruiting. I say recruiting or recording. I don't know. I have recording on my mind apparently. So then I was like, okay, well, from that initial party that I had, I did have several people who did want to host their own parties with their own group of friends. I had a person randomly sign up under me. I'm guessing, maybe thinking, having the same logic that I did. I didn't even know who this person was. But from that first party, I had someone approach me about, I think that's how that whole topic of the recruiting spiel was. Someone had approached me about joining, and I had no idea because I wasn't prepared to do a recruiting spiel. And when I asked my upline about it, she was like, don't you already have this information? Why didn't you do your recruiting spiel? So long story short, I ended up getting the information for this person joining. I passed it along to my friend, and I was like, hey, I gave her the spiel why I had joined. I didn't do like the official recruiting spiel. I told her straight up, this is why I had initially joined. I think it's fun, but you know, here are all the facts so that you have them just in case. And I haven't been with the company that long. So if you want to join under me, that's great. But personally, I may not be around for like much longer. So maybe you can join under my upline since she may be around if this is something that you're actually interested in doing. But my friend was like, no, that's fine. I'll join under you. So yeah, like I never really recruited with Scentsy. I never really did any of like the real like consultant like official things. There were all these like conventions and stuff, and I saw right through those. I saw those for what they were. I was like, why am I spending money for you to tell me how to work at my business? And I did see that. I see what a lot of people talk about in the videos where they are like, you know, if you aren't making money and you're not recruiting, aka if you're not making money, that means you're not recruiting. And if you're not recruiting and you are not messaging people 24/7, then you're not working hard. And I straight up called people out on it. I was like, wait a minute, isn't one of the things when we're recruiting that we can work, make our own hours, and that we're flexible and we don't have to put that much effort into this company? And I was that person that when you watch those cringy videos now, people getting like berated in freaking calls, I was that person to call out my upline. I'd be like, no, don't you yell at me. Don't you belittle me. Like, I'm running this business the way I want to run it. So if you aren't making your numbers because your downline isn't working the way you want them to, then that's your problem. And that sounds like a personal problem to me, you know? So that's why my upline didn't like me very much, because I wasn't about to play their game. I was going to do this the way I wanted to do it. And if you had a freaking problem with it, then that was on you. You know, you got into this mess and you figure it out, you know? So yeah, I also started seeing like the negativity on it. So now moving into like the workplace / coworker experience that I had. Scentsy, I don't want to say they are the nastiest consultants or reps that I have seen. I'm going to save that one for another company. If you want to know which one the nastiest company is, stay tuned. But they are extremely catty and nasty. So basically there was compliance. So there are all these rules about what you could and couldn't do when you are, even though you are an independent consultant and it is your company. No. You are still selling like their product. So you cannot make certain posts with certain verbiage on it. For instance, you could never host a sale, or you could never say that you were selling discounted product. You had to say that you were running like a special, and for the like if people were interested in what your special was, they had to message you. I was like, y'all can fuck right on off, because if I have paid money for this product is now mine. You know what I mean? Like, I now own this product. And if you have purchased all of this stock, you now own that stock. So I should be allowed to sell this stock or this inventory, right, for at whatever fucking price I want to sell it. But you were not allowed to mark it up or put it down. You were not allowed to basically do anything that would get you or give you an advantage in sales. Isn't that ass backwards? Like, I am trying to make money, right? I am trying to have more customers, right? Why would I not want to have an advantage versus like against another sales rep? That makes me a better sales rep, right? And it's ultimately because they don't give a shit if you're a good sales rep or not. They care about how you recruit. So if your potential recruit sees that there is like tough competition with other like consultants, then it'll deter them from joining, right? So again, the whole point is that like they could care less. The company could care less about your sales, about your personal volume, how much money you are selling. All they care about is that you're recruiting. That's just what the consensus that I came to. So yeah, compliance, right? If you were out of compliance, and if you were posting things like, I am selling X amount of product at a discounted rate, at a discounted price, or if you buy, for every 10 that you buy, I will give you, like every 10 little packs of wax that you buy, I will give you one free. You couldn't post those. You had to say, very generic, I'm running a special, and if you want to know what my special is, you have to come in contact with me. I don't think we were allowed to like post our inventory online unless it was like a private group. And even then, like, so you weren't allowed to like go on like those like for sale pages. Like Facebook now has like Facebook Marketplace or whatever, but back in the day it was like all these like groups that you could join and you could post all of your stuff for sales. You were not allowed to post for sales in those groups. So compliance existed, but the worst part about it was that yes, compliance existed, but it wasn't like compliance was out there actively searching, right? Actively searching for violations so they could terminate you as a consultant. So if they terminated you as a consultant, you were no longer allowed to, you didn't have an account. You were no longer about to purchase products through them. But, and then you could just sell it, your product at whatever freaking price you wanted. Anyways, it was other consultants who were reporting you to compliance. And you may think like, oh, that's not big of a deal. Maybe it's like one or two people with no fucking time on their, or too much time on their fucking hands and, nothing better to do who are reporting you. It was everybody. It was like, I remember I did a violation once and I didn't even know at the time about compliance. And I don't even remember like what the compliance violation was. It was something petty. It was something extremely petty. And I got an email like 2 seconds after I had posted that. And I think it was my fucking upline that did it. And like, they were like, you're out of compliance, don't do this again or you'll get terminated, basically. And I was like, oh, well, this is a thing. And that's when I found out this whole like compliance thing. And when I started going on like forums and different places, people talking, like the compliance thing was real and people were nasty and petty about it, right? So I have had my own little business cards, right? So if I had gone to like one of those little like sales, like little vendor areas, and I was like, I had met someone there and I was like chit-chatting with them and I decided to give them my business card there, say I had gone out and gone shopping. If there was another representative there who had paid for a spot there, and I innocently had given like my business card to this person I had befriended, you would get in trouble because compliance, there cannot be more than 2 representatives at like one of these events. It was just bullshit. Basically, long story short, the reason I left is because one, these companies are designed for you to fail, right? You're not going to make any money off of these companies. 2, I got tired of the bullshit and the pettiness and the fighting and the cattiness. It was just a toxic like environment to just be in. 3, I originally didn't get into this because, thankfully, I was in a position where I wasn't struggling financially and I was looking for something to make money. I got into it because I wanted to have fun. I wanted to sell things, that I thought was interested. And really, again, I joined to get a discount. But this is why these companies are so toxic, is because they take advantage of vulnerable people who weren't in my position, who were looking for a serious company to make serious money and build their own little business and really become financially independent. And I am so glad that because I wasn't in that position, I was able to straight see through the bullshit. Do I regret joining the company? Yes and no. So mainly no, because I didn't invest as much money as most people would have. I invested very little in that company. Like I said, I had my $50 startup cost, and I didn't purchase any inventory or stock. If someone wanted to order something, they had to order it off the website, which again, I got bad. You have to have inventory ready for your customers at all time. I'm like, why? If you order something, you're going to get it in like a week. So it doesn't really matter, right? So I didn't personally have any inventory, and all of the products that I purchased, I personally used, right? So I still have my Scentsy warmers. I'm not going to get rid of it. I paid money for it. When I look at it, I'm like, God, this is a terrible and disgusting product. But it's kind of like the same thing when you have people who used to purchase from like non-cruelty free like makeup companies, and if you've already purchased a product that isn't cruelty free and you realize that it isn't cruelty free, are you just going to throw that product away? No, you're going to use it up, because that would be wasteful, and then you make the conscious decision to purchase, cruelty free from here on out. So that's kind of the way I feel about Scentsy, is I still have the product until it breaks or the light bulb burns out or whatever. I'm still using it. I still use like wax from other companies, from like smaller indie makers who make like their own wax in my Scentsy warmers, because I have them. I'm still gonna fucking use them. So yeah, that is kind of my experience with Scentsy. I do regret the years of my life that stress took away from me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but it was stressful. It was a headache, and that's really what I do regret. And I regret not saying something to the people who joined under me, or not being more informed than what I was. So now if I see somebody who wants to join or is interested in joining, or any of my friends who talk about joining one of these like direct sales company, obviously I know what to say to them. Fuck no. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.